After my family went bankrupt, I adopted a pair of well-behaved and adorable twins, a boy and a girl. I had hoped that family bonds would ease the bitterness in my heart, but the next moment, countless bullet comments flashed before my eyes. The female lead really has no fear of death, daring to adopt both the sinister villain and the malicious supporting female character at the same time. You did help them, but they're just too born to be evil vampire parasites. Exactly, in the end. They drained you dry and lived lavishly, while you were literally killed by their joint schemes. Witnessing this, I remained silent, until over a decade later, when my son became a tycoon and revived our family fortunes, while my daughter, as a star actress, boosted our stocks. The barrage of comments exploded again. Indeed, the prejudices in people's hearts are like a towering mountain. No matter how hard you try, you can never move them. Starting today, I'll be your guardian, now. Call me Mom first. I slumped lazily on the sofa, eyeing the exquisitely adorable pair of twins in front of me. The boy is named George, he's the older brother, and the girl is named Rita, she's the younger sister. Seeing my fierce expression, Rita's lips trembled as she was about to cry. George gently squeezed his sister's hand and shook his head. Don't cry. It was Mom who adopted us. We should be grateful to her. I raised an eyebrow, the kid's quite sharp. It'd be perfect if you could tone down the murderous look in your eyes a bit. After being comforted by her brother, Rita sobbed, Mommy. Strangely enough, the moment Rita lowered her head and called me Mom, fragments of text suddenly flashed before my eyes. The female lead really isn't afraid of death, daring to adopt both the brooding villain and the malicious supporting female character at the same time. You may have helped them, but they're just two natural-born evil vampires. Exactly. In the end, they'll drain you of all your worth and live freely, while you'll be betrayed and killed by their combined efforts. What the heck? I blinked my eyes, making sure I wasn't seeing things. The barrage of comments kept rolling. The female lead should just send them back to the orphanage. They deserve all the suffering for doing so many disgusting things. Yeah, George committed arson and murder at 13, and Rita was already dating gangsters at 16. What kind of good people could they be? I looked down at the little ones, but they're only 8 years old now. Cursing them for things that haven't even happened yet doesn't seem fair. With that thought, I closed my eyes, physically shutting out the barrage of comments. Hey sweetie, go make Mom a couple of dishes. No cilantro, extra garlic. George walked into the kitchen with a gloomy expression. Obediently, he understood the principle of enduring hardships to achieve one's goals. And naturally wouldn't choose to court death while still weak. He's not even 1.3 meters tall and can't reach the stove, so he has to stand on a small stool to cook. Although the female lead ends up in a terrible situation, it's quite satisfying to see her bossing the little troublemaker around now. I bet the villain has cursed the female lead 1,000 times in his heart. They probably haven't eaten for 2 days. Just thinking about these two little brats working hard and still not getting a hot meal later makes me laugh. I'm feeling a bit irritated. Rita was so frightened that she immediately knelt on the ground. Mom, I was wrong. I didn't mean to swallow my saliva on purpose. I grew even more agitated and pulled her onto the sofa. What do you mean? Is someone not allowing you to eat? Rita covered her mouth in horror. No. I put on a menacing expression. Speak quickly, or I'll punish the little liar. Ha ha ha. Rita couldn't withstand the intimidation from an adult and immediately spilled everything. Woo woo, both my brother and I are bad kids, so we deserve to be punished. I asked. Why? Rita bit her lip tightly. Because I was so hungry. My brother went to the kitchen to steal food from me, but he got caught by Uncle the headmaster. He called us pigs and said we'd behave only after going hungry for a few meals. So my brother and I only got to eat once every 2 days. I'm sorry, Mom, my brother and I already ate the steamed buns yesterday morning, and today I'm drooling again. I'm so bad. Rita's eyes were filled with tears. I slammed the couch hard, leaving a dent in the cushion. Worse than an animal. The barrage falls silent. Actually, I think even if those little brats are born evil, not giving them food is going too far. If they're this rowdy without food, imagine how they'd be with it. They should just starve. Holy shit, the earlier comment was so aggressive. Are you the only one left on your family register? It seems there are still more people with the right values. I swallowed my frustration and walked into the kitchen. You go to the living room to comfort your sister. I'll take care of the rest of the cooking. George obediently jumped off the stool and slipped into the living room. I saw his pockets bulging, probably stuffed with food, and sighed silently. By the time I finished cooking and came out, George's pockets were already flat. Pretending not to notice the crumbs at the corner of Rita's mouth, I said sternly, "In my house, you follow my rules. Children who don't obey the rules will be kicked out. Do you understand?" "Understood." George and Rita lowered their eyes, not daring to look at me. I tapped the dining table. Rule 1. Everyone must eat 3 meals a day on time. Now go wash your hands and come back immediately to eat. George suddenly looked up, thinking he had misheard. Rita opened her mouth in shock, revealing the half-chewed bun inside. "Silly you," I waved my hand. "Hurry up, perhaps starving." George didn't care if it was a trap and sat down on the chair, burying his head in the food. Rita ate while crying, with snot, tears, and drool cascading down like a waterfall. The 2 kids ended up like sticky rice balls, their bellies round and full, lying on the table unable to move. I broke 2 pills in half and handed them over. "Take these." George wore the expression of someone marching to their death, swallowing it without hesitation. Meanwhile, Rita tried to charm her way out of it. "Mom, I can't eat anymore." Faced with such an adorable creature, of course I chose to inhale it with gusto. He, open your mouth nicely. Don't make mommy angry. When mommy gets angry, she eats children. Rita cried again because I scared her. That night, the siblings fell asleep with the thought that they might not see the sun rise the next day, yet the next morning, they woke up right at 6 o'clock as usual. I carried the steamed buns and eggs bought from the breakfast stall. Time for breakfast. George was utterly astonished to find himself still alive. He suppressed his disgust for me and deliberately put on the most innocent and adorable expression. "Mom, what did you give us to eat last night?" I answered casually, "Digestive tablets." "What else could it be?" George seemed unconvinced but didn't argue. After breakfast, I saw him secretly rummaging through the trash, pulling out the packaging of digestive tablets, and guessing the words with Rita. Rita, 5 characters. Mom probably wasn't lying. George frowned tightly. "Even if it's 5 characters, that doesn't prove the woman is innocent. What if the packaging says, lethal rat poison?" I suddenly realized they couldn't read. Damn that orphanage. They actually raised my twins to be illiterate, old, and new grudges together. I couldn't take it anymore. I immediately dragged them back to the welfare center. Seeing me return so soon, the director of the welfare center was stunned. "Ms. Susan, is there anything else you need?" I said with a cold expression. "Of course, it's about the children." The welfare home director immediately understood and began shouting at the siblings. "You little brats, daring to make mistakes in your new home. Raising you is worse than raising dogs. Apologize now. If you get abandoned again, I won't let you off easy." Slaps followed the insults. George and Rita immediately closed their eyes. They don't dare to dodge. If they avoid this slap, the punishment that follows will be even more brutal. The expected pain never comes. I grabbed the dean's hand and deliver a fierce slap with my left palm. "Who gave you the nerve to hit my child?" Crack. A crisp, loud sound. The principal was stunned by my slap, his face turning beet red. "You dare hit me? Aren't you afraid I'll call the police?" I stood with my hands on my hips, exuding full authority. "Come on, go ahead and call the police. Let everyone see how an old man bullies a widow and her orphan child." The director of the welfare home shouted angrily. "Stop making unreasonable trouble." I shot back. "You're a damn joke. Thinking you represent justice, skimping on meals, abusing and beating children at will. How dare you shamelessly keep living with that pig face of yours?" The welfare home director trembled with rage, ordering staff to restrain us. In the heat of the moment, George and Rita shielded me like 2 chicks protecting a mother hen. Eyes misted over. Looks like these 2 kids aren't completely hopeless after all. Heart softened. 2 little brats put on a bit of an act. And you all actually fell for it. The female lead is also a brainless idiot. Charging into the lion's den alone, she totally deserved getting beaten up. Did the person above just eat shit? Their mouth is so foul. Might as well call them stinky mouth bro. Yet, I curled the corners of my lips. I never fight a battle unprepared. Although the Smith family went bankrupt, a starved camel is still bigger than a horse. The connections they built over the years wouldn't vanish overnight. I reached out to my contacts in the press, offering to give them a big scoop. They had been lurking near the orphanage all along, closely monitoring the developments inside. When the staff were about to resort to violence, everyone could no longer hold back and surged into the orphanage like a tidal wave. Does your institution truly engage in child abuse? Is your institution planning to violently coerce this child's parent? How does the director feel about this? The director and staff of the welfare home panicked. Muttering, "No interviews," as they turned and fled toward their offices, the reporters weren't about to take this lying down. Some kept their cameras rolling for live broadcasts while others dialed the police. I clapped my hands and grinned at the stunned little dumpling. Mission accomplished. Time to go home for lunch. George and Rita hadn't recovered from their shock even as they sat down at the dining table. George hesitated before speaking. "Mom, aren't you afraid of getting into trouble?" I grinned. "Haven't I caused enough trouble already? What's one more?" George fell silent and lowered his head to eat his meal. Rita held her rice bowl with tears falling like little pearls. "If Mom gets into trouble and bad guys break her legs, my brother and I will work hard to take care of her." "Who says kids are bad? This child is just too good." I pulled Rita into a hug and planted a loud kiss on her forehead. After the welfare home incident was exposed, the director was prosecuted for charges including abuse of power for personal gain and child abuse. With multiple offenses combined, they were swiftly sent to prison. The staff members who acted as accomplices also received the punishment they deserved. The remaining children were properly relocated by the government and transferred to standard welfare homes. Upon hearing this news, a strange glimmer finally appeared in the siblings' eyes. At least they wouldn't have to worry about being sent back to that hell again. Half a month later, after finishing the meal, I lazily leaned back on the sofa. George went to the kitchen to wash the dishes, while Rita sat on a small stool massaging my legs. I slowly exhaled a deep breath. So satisfying. But this kind of life can't go on any longer. The siblings need to go to school, and I also need to find a job to work. When George finishes his current task, I beckon the siblings to come over together. No freeloaders in this house. Understand what I mean? George clenches his teeth. "Mom, I'll work hard to do the chores. Please don't send us away. At least staying here, though humiliating, ensures we won't go hungry." If they encounter someone like the orphanage director again, the future for the siblings will be even bleaker. I smirked crookedly. "No, in my house. You must listen to me. That's rule number 2. Tomorrow, you will obediently go with me to register at school." Rita was the first to react, cheering and jumping for joy. "School, my brother and I can read now." I tap her nose. "Let me make this clear first. Since we're at school now, you must study hard, otherwise, Mommy will spank your bottoms." "Understood." Rita isn't afraid of me anymore. She held my hand and cooed. "I'll definitely be good. Mommy can spank brother's bottom first." George was shocked. In short, the two of them shed their status as nine-leak fish, a term for poorly educated individuals. And through my connections, I managed to get them enrolled in the best local public elementary school, dressed in oversized school uniforms and carrying brand new backpacks. They looked utterly uncomfortable from head to toe. I spoke to them earnestly. "The path ahead is yours to walk. I can't take care of you forever." I turned to privately message the homeroom teacher. "Teacher, why is our child sitting in the last row?" After my relentless efforts, the homeroom teacher finally relented and agreed to move the sibling seats forward a bit. The barrage of comments started making unsolicited suggestions again. "The female lead is simply too indulgent with the child. Raising an ungrateful wretch is just reaping what she sowed." Agreed. Children should endure more hardships to understand the cruelty of society. I'd sked lightly, speaking to the invisible air before me. "Are your parenting principles so cold-hearted because you've never been firmly loved?" The barrage exploded. Can she see our discussion? How can words so cold come from a 37-degree body temperature? I'm going to throw a tantrum. Woo-woo. I smiled warmly. The two children are only 1.3 meters tall now, but most of the students in the class have already exceeded 1.4 meters in height. Under such circumstances, the homeroom teacher still placed them in the last row, which is not a responsible approach. As parents, if we're unwilling to speak up when our children are bullied or mistreated, how can we expect them to stand against the cold, harsh rules of society on their own? Don't have children if you lack money, and don't have children if you lack love. I won't tolerate anyone slandering my precious child. That would be my failure as a parent. Meeting adjourned. The barrage of comments was stunned into silence. Upon reflection, it really does make sense. You can't expect a child who has never been nurtured with love to grow up embracing the world with love. I thought the female lead was a hypocritical saint, but I didn't expect her to be so strong inside. Talk is cheap. In the end, she's still doomed to be exploited. A thankless wretch can never be tamed. Just wait and see. Then they witnessed a shocking scene. I got home from work at 6 o'clock. And the living room was filled with a tantalizing aroma. George was setting a bowl of soup and 4 dishes on the dining table. Rita was mopping the floor with a mop taller than herself. I was stunned. I asked, "Didn't I tell you to buy dinner outside?" Rita quickly replied, "Brother said Mom hasn't eaten yet, so we bought groceries and came back to cook." George flushed with anger. "Didn't I tell you not to mention me?" Rita said. "Oh, my brother didn't pay with his smartwatch. Nor did he learn to cook while reading a recipe." George was speechless. "Oh ho, Sunder much, such a Sunder little boy. Come here and let Auntie give you a kiss. Give me the child, or give me to the child. Don't be fooled. Don't you think these 2 kids are really scheming?" "I don't think so. I just think it's fucking awesome. I could cook and stir-fry dishes at the age of 8, preparing 4 dishes and 1 soup, at 8 years old. All I learned was how to be an idle rich kid." Comparisons are odious. I was genuinely moved. Once upon a time, there was an opportunity right before your eyes to make you the 3rd generation of wealth, but I didn't cherish it. If heaven gives me another chance, I will adopt you earlier so you can live a good life too, Mom. Rita was moved, tears glistening on her eyelashes. "Don't worry, my brother and I will make you the 1st generation of wealth, lucky girl." Relying on parents when young and children when grown. Wish I could swap places for a couple of episodes. Haha, nice words, but actually just eyeing the female lead savings. Just watch, she'll be screwed over by this brother-sister duo sooner or later. Then George and Rita swept the top 3 spots in the final exams, effortlessly raking in scholarships, even if it was just a few $100s. The siblings solemnly placed it in my palm. "Mom, this is your startup fund to become a 1st-generation wealthy entrepreneur." Tears of emotion streamed down from the corners of my mouth. Through the changing seasons, 2 little friends unwittingly grew into big friends. Due to their outstanding academic performance, the prestigious school extended an olive branch to them, skipping 2 grades, tuition-free, along with a substantial scholarship. Oh no, 2 poor kids in that environment are bound to go astray. Already picturing George turning dark and murderous, Rita manipulating hearts and minds. If the female lead had any sense, she wouldn't have let them attend that elite school. After explaining the pros and cons, I left the decision to them. "Choose whichever school you want. I won't interfere with your decision." After a moment of thought, George and Rita chose the elite school without hesitation. As expected, they're vain to the core. Just wait to be bullied by the young masters and ladies. I raised my hand and said, "Wait a moment." Then I walked to the bathroom and argued with that barrage comment. "Humph. They all can't wait for the child to suffer from bullying. I think they are the worst ones." After coming out of the bathroom, I patted my chest. "Then it's happily decided. We'll go to the elite school. Come on, let's buy some new clothes." George, however, seemed hesitant. "Mom, maybe my sister and I should just go to public school instead." Over the years, he's been calling my mom with effortless ease. I crouched down halfway, looking straight into George's eyes. "Oh, why the sudden change of heart? Can you tell me about it?" George flushed red, turned his head away, and muttered, "You know why?" I laughed and patted his furry head. "All right, stop pretending to be a little adult. Even if both of you went to a prestigious school, I could afford it. Heck, I could even afford to send myself along with you." George and Rita remained silent, their skepticism unwavering. I yawned. "Didn't anyone tell you? The principal of the elite school is my uncle." George was shocked. Rita was shocked. The barrage of comments was shocked. I shrugged. The Smith family might have gone bankrupt, but it's highly unlikely for the Smith family group to collapse. In reality, after years of my hard work, the Smith family group was revived and has grown back into a small to micro enterprise. Sure, it's still a few trillion short of its peak, but progress is progress, right? George and Rita enrolled in an elite school and quickly adapted like fish in water. First, they are good-looking. Second, they are still good-looking. Students are at an age where they admire beauty, and it's hard not to develop a vague affection for attractive peers. George is aloof, Rita is elegant, and they were also poor. The students from the prestigious school suddenly felt the urge to save them, sending chocolates, snacks, and designer perfumes purchased from abroad flying into their desk drawers like butterflies. They were reluctant to accept these gifts, which upset their classmates. In the end, they had no choice but to carry the large and small packages back home. Can't finish eating nor use them, so I sincerely propose, how about we sell them instead? The female lead casually disposes of the villain's belongings like this. Countdown to her dark transformation, initiated. George chimes in. Can we buy ribs with the money we earn? George added. I also want to eat shrimp. I waved my hand grandly. Of course, no problem. The barrage of comments erupted with exclamations of amazement. According to the original work, aren't the villains supposed to be particularly vain? Now they're trading designer brands for food. I'm just blown away. No, I don't believe it. How could anyone resist the temptations of high society? Just wait and see. Such people are bound to fall sooner or later. Then they saw, one day after school, a girl shyly approached George and asked if he could walk her home. George shook his head and wheeled out his little electric scooter. Sorry, I need to take my sister home. His tone was calm and composed, without any hint of inferiority. Meanwhile, Rita was eager to see the drama unfold. It's fine, I can squat on the footrest. Just take her with us, bro. The barrage is speechless. The sinister villain becomes sunny and confident. The malicious female supporting character becomes helpful. Is this right? Time flies forward. In the blink of an eye, George and Rita reached college age. The barrage comments were still placing bets. The villain and the female supporting character are all grown up now. No murders, no sugar daddies. Shouldn't you believe they've changed for the better? Believe? Impossible. Don't forget how simple the high school environment was. Once they enter college and see the dazzling world of temptation, can they really keep their innocence? Counting the time, the director of the welfare home should be out of prison soon. Given the nature of the villain and the female antagonist, they would definitely go all out to kill the director. And then, hee my ass. I decided to be straightforward with George and Rita. I'm preparing for the civil service exam. You need to think twice before acting from now on. Don't mess up my political vetting, the sibling said. But Mom, you're already 34. Are you sure you want to go into politics? What's wrong with being 34? I'm at the perfect age to strive for my dreams, I declared passionately, and none of you are allowed to make any mistakes, understand, to help me fulfill my dream of becoming a civil servant. George and Rita followed every rule to the letter. They wore helmets religiously when riding electric scooters and helped elderly people cross the street, becoming paragons of virtue. This situation continued until they graduated from university. The barrage comments are getting lively again. The female lead is now past the minimum age requirement for civil service exams. I wonder what she'll use to restrain the supporting female character and the antagonist. They're finally going to face the dark realities of society. I refuse to believe they won't turn dark this time. The tension reached its peak when George and Rita asked me for money. George, Mom, could you lend me $100,000? I'll pay you back in 6 months. Rita, Mom, I'd also like to borrow $50,000. I should be able to repay you next month. Look at this. Their true colors are finally showing. The barrage of comments dances and sings. Celebrating the accuracy of the prophecy, I remain silent, only sending money relentlessly. The barrage scolds me for being crazy, asking why I'm throwing this money away, saying there will come a day when I'll be begging on the streets. To this, I firmly believe in the child I raised. If even I don't trust them, who else will? A month passed, 2 months passed. The 2 kids never mentioned repaying the money. I gradually forgot about this matter, until the real estate agent called me and asked to meet in person to discuss. He handed over a transfer contract. MS, Susan. Someone has purchased the property rights of the Smith family's old house for you. Please review the contract and sign if everything is in order. You think I'm an idiot. The Smith family's old house was indeed mine, but it was mortgaged to pay off debts over a decade ago. There's no such thing as a free lunch. I immediately called the police. No one's going to saddle me with tens of millions in debt. The police investigation revealed that the contract was genuine and the house payment had been fully settled. The buyers were George and Rita. I called them. Their cheerful and lively voices came through the phone. Mom, did you receive the surprise we prepared for you? Tears streamed down my face. Damn, that was almost a scare. An even bigger scare was yet to come. George transformed into a tycoon, injecting billions into the Smith family group and reviving the half-dead company. Meanwhile, Rita secretly filmed several dramas behind my back, each of which became a massive hit, and now she's a red-hot A-list actress. Possibly the female lead's hallucination before getting food poisoning. Wake up, the female lead is already a billionaire. Absolutely impossible. They definitely have ulterior motives. If the female lead falls for it, she might as well prepare to have her kidneys harvested in northern Myanmar. LOL, the trash talker got triggered. Most bullet comments believe the siblings genuinely treat me well. However, some still firmly believe they're hiding malicious intentions. They haven't even repaid the borrowed money, yet expect the villain and supporting female to support the female lead in her old age. The next second, Rita and George handed over a bank card. Mom, there's $1 million in this card. Use it for now. In a few days, we'll get you an unlimited black card. I was overwhelmed by the sudden fortune, with both hands. I took the bank card and kissed it fervently. How did you suddenly become so rich? Rita adjusted her gold-rimmed glasses. The stocks I bought inexplicably rose several hundred times in value, and that's how I got rich. Rita smiled brightly. I was about the same. Just got pulled into filming a few dramas and suddenly became popular. I finally laughed with relief. With George's help, I somehow became the billionaire president of the Sioux Corporation. Effortlessly raking in several small targets every year, Rita personally endorsed the Smith Family Corporation, saving me hefty endorsement fees. Her fans loved everything about her and went crazy buying our stocks, driving the share price higher and higher. She didn't forget to show concern for my love life, holding my hands with a deeply moved expression. Mom, all these years you've been alone taking care of me and my brother, working so hard without even a confidant by your side. I've decided to let you properly experience the taste of love. It's finally happening. I knew the supporting female character couldn't be that kind-hearted. She's definitely going to sell the female lead to some old man, so the villain and the supporting female character are playing a big chess game. They're giving the female lead away as a favor. No wonder their success came so easily. Rita mysteriously leaned in and whispered in my ear. Mom, I got you a VIP card for the club, college jocks, elite businessmen, you name it, go wild. Is it too late for me to adopt a couple of kids from the orphanage now? Indeed, the prejudices in people's hearts are like a mountain. No matter how hard you try, you can never move it. I pretended to decline. Oh, this is too much. Please don't let your brother know. Rita waved her hand. Don't worry, my brother is busy grinding at work right now. He told me to tell you to spend the money quickly, so he'll have more motivation to earn more. Tears of emotion once again gushed from the corners of my mouth. Beautiful days. Here I come, extra one. My name is George. I've known since childhood that my sister and I were abandoned children. The orphanage director scolded us as burdens, which is why our birth parents abandoned us. Other children called us idiots because we didn't know how to flatter those in power, so we deserved cold and spoiled food. But I'd rather die than send my little sister into the director's office. I foolishly dreamed of growing up quickly to take my sister away from this endless hell, so I acted sweet and obedient in front of potential adoptive parents. They were very satisfied with me and my sister. Then, less than a day after taking us home, they hurriedly sent us back. They exaggerated to the welfare home director. These two kids are too eerie. As soon as we brought them home, we could see words flashing before our eyes. They said you'd suck our blood dry and ruin our family. We dare not keep such a child. Whoever wants you can take you. The orphanage director apologized to their faces but beat me and my sister savagely behind their backs. Good-for-nothing brats no one wants. You'll end up in the black coal mines, and your sister in the brothels. Clenching my fists, I couldn't hold back. I grabbed a knife and killed him, but not yet. If I were sent to juvenile detention, my little sister would be even more vulnerable to bullying. At the brink of despair, that woman arrived. She didn't fall for the director's sweet talk or choose taller, more obedient children. She picked me and my sister, yet I felt nothing inside. Not even the few changes of clothes were taken, because within 24 hours, she would see those so-called words, and throw me and my sister back to the orphanage. Sure enough, when the woman collapsed onto the sofa, she suddenly frowned. I tightened my grip on my sister's hand, preparing myself to hear the hysterical screams of the woman before us, yet she suddenly closed her eyes and shifted to a more relaxed posture. Hey, sweetie, go make mom a couple of dishes, no cilantro, extra garlic. I was utterly astonished. Without thinking too much, I obediently walked into the kitchen, afraid that she would send us back the next second for not being well behaved. The sound of the woman talking to my sister came from the living room. My sister was scared to tears. I thought to myself, as expected, the woman had shown her true colors, but the next second, she walked into the kitchen and naturally took over the spatula. Go to the living room to comfort your sister. I'll finish cooking the rest. I secretly stuffed 2 steamed buns into my pocket, broke them into pieces, and fed them to my sister. Stop crying, eat quickly. Did she hit you? My sister stopped crying as soon as she saw the buns. No, mom didn't hit me. Don't call her mom. She's not our mother. I was furious with shame, but a wave of fear rose in my heart. If even she wouldn't adopt us, where could we possibly go? The aroma of the food interrupted my train of thought. The woman said that in her house, everything had to be done according to her rules, and disobedience would result in being kicked out. She also said that my sister and I must eat 3 meals a day. Not missing a single one. Wait, is this still Chinese? I couldn't care less if it was a trap. Days with a full meal were rare, and I had to eat this one. Before I could finish the last bite, the woman suddenly handed me a pill, demanding in a commanding tone that we take it. I sneered inwardly. Here it comes at last. But it's just as well. I wasn't attached to such a miserable life anyway. Yet when I opened my eyes the next day, I found I was still alive, and my stomach no longer hurt. Could it be that the woman hadn't given me poison after all? My sister and I rummaged through the trash, picking up plastic packaging and carefully deciphering the 5 large characters. Can't understand. Unexpectedly, the woman suddenly became furious and took me and my sister back to the orphanage. What's coming will come. Facing the director's scolding and slaps, all I wanted to do was sneer. The next second, the woman actually slapped the dean across the face and spoke many righteous words. The dean's face turned the color of liver, and he ordered his thugs to seize us. I had personally experienced just how dark and dirty his hands were. I really wanted to ask the woman, was it worth risking her life alone for our sake? When the reporters swarmed into the welfare home, I hadn't yet recovered from the shock. Bathed in sunlight from head to toe, she seemed like a goddess descending to earth, calling my sister and me home for dinner. So that was it. Mom truly loved us. Extra story 2. My name is Rita. I grew up relying only on my brother. In a world filled with insults and beatings, I could only play the obedient child to beg for a pitiful shred of sympathy. People would pat my brothers and my heads as if inspecting goods. These 2 kids are good. Take them home. But soon after, they hurriedly sent us back to the orphanage, muttering words like jinx and damned before fleeing in haste. The orphanage director glared at my brother and me with cold disdain, often locking us in the punishment room, cursing us as unwanted burdens who only wasted food by being alive. It wasn't until I turned 13 that those looks of contempt finally changed. Instead, there was drool. The dean squeezed out the sweetest voice, yet it sounded so nauseating. Rita, would you like some candy? I desperately backed away. No, damn it, you don't know what's good for you. The director flew into a rage, slapped me hard across the face, and then lunged at me. I passed out. When I came to, I saw my brother holding a rusty knife. The director lay unconscious on the ground, blood pooling around him. My brother said to me, "We can't stay here any longer, let's run away." But in this vast world, where could we call home? Life outside was no better than in the orphanage. My brother and I were uneducated and too young, so no legitimate shops would hire us. Only certain underworld gangs were willing to extend an olive branch to us. My brother joined them, engaging in fights and smuggling, becoming a desperado living on the edge of a knife. Unwilling to be a parasite sucking the last drop of blood from my brother, I took the initiative to cozy up to the gang's boss. For the first time, I witnessed the dazzling world of neon lights and revelry, and tasted steak and red wine served on exquisite tableware. So this is how the upper class lives. I moved effortlessly between various men, easily acquiring wealth and power. As for how they gossiped about me outside, I couldn't care less. When my brother found out about this, he slapped me mercilessly. "Rita, I raised you from childhood, not for you to degrade yourself like this." I spat out the blood in my mouth and sneered, "What's the big deal? You sell your conscience, I sell my body. Neither of us has the right to judge the other." My brother stared at me intently and said, "Did I fail to raise you properly?" I clenched my teeth and replied, "I was born rotten, happy now." After a long silence, my brother left the rented apartment and walked into the night without looking back. He seemed utterly broken. No, it shouldn't be like this. Dazed beyond measure, I staggered out of the room and collapsed into the boundless night. Brother, I was wrong. Mom, please don't abandon me. Rita, wake up. A warm palm pressed against my cheek, pulling me from the depths of my nightmare. I opened my eyes to the dimly lit private room and my mother's concerned gaze. "You suddenly fell asleep while we were having fun, so I asked all the male models to leave and turned off the lights. Here, have some water. Let's go home to sleep." Mom took out the thermos and skillfully poured me another cup of warm water. I threw myself into her arms, turning all my grievances into tears. "Mom, I had a nightmare. In that world, you weren't there. Did you abandon me?" Mom wiped the tears from the corners of my eyes. "Dreams are always the opposite. How could Mom ever abandon you? Come on, blow the bad dream away. Mom patted my shoulder with a bright smile. All right, your brother just called. He's already cooked dinner and wants us to hurry home. Just don't let him know we came to the club to play, or we'll get another lecture. My phone showed over a dozen unread messages from my brother. Rita, answer the phone. Where did you take Mom? If I find out you went to some shady place, I'll break your legs. Forget it, just come home for dinner. I'll deal with you later. In a fit of rage, I raged for a moment. Mom, tell my brother I want to eat shrimp, and have him hurry up and make another plate. Humph, I can still play the fox borrowing the tiger's might when needed. This time, both Mom and my brother are by my side. Perfect. After hearing the first story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Next, there is another similar story. Let's continue to see. A month before the college entrance exam, my mom called me in tears, saying my younger brother had blinded one of his classmates' eyes, and they couldn't afford the compensation. She asked me to come home and marry a man they had picked out, using the bride price as the settlement money. She said she gave birth to me and raised me, and if I repaid her this time, we'd be even. I was stunned. Why should I repay you? If you didn't want to have me, you shouldn't have slept with my dad in the first place. When I was 5 years old, my mother got pregnant. To evade the family planning policy, she left me with my uncle to raise. But why would my uncle's family agree to that? Their family had twins, a boy and a girl, both now in 6th grade. Just at the age where expenses start to pile up, even though my uncle and aunt were hardworking and their family was better off than ours, taking in another child was absolutely beyond their means. My aunt firmly opposed it, saying that if they adopted me, she would divorce my uncle. My mother knelt and kowtowed at their doorstep. Nowadays, if anything happens at one end of the street, people from the other end will rush over to watch the excitement in no time. After all, work can wait until tomorrow, but the fun will be gone by tonight. A crowd gathered outside my uncle's house, pointing and whispering. My mother begged my uncle, saying, just treat it like picking up a stray cat or dog. Give it some food so it won't starve. She left me at my uncle's house and walked away without a second glance. No matter how harshly my aunt scolded me, she never turned back. I didn't dare follow my mother. She told me I'd better die at my uncle's house or become a beggar on the streets. My aunt wouldn't let me inside, so I hugged my knees and sat outside their door all night, looking at the round moon. I listened to the sound of my uncle and aunt arguing inside the house. How terrifying that night was, I've already forgotten. I only remember that the moon was very round and very white that night. My mind was filled with fantasies, with the moon goddess Chang'e. Seeing from above that my mother had abandoned me, descend to take me to her lunar palace. When I go to the moon palace, Mom and Dad will surely regret it terribly when they find me gone. By then, even if they beg me in tears to come home, I won't return. As my uncle and aunt kept arguing, I fell asleep. I don't know how they worked it out, but the next day, my uncle woke me up where I'd been sleeping by the door and led me inside. Auntie kept a cold face. Click clack click, stepping on the sewing machine. My cousins had already gone to school. I walked up to her, trembling as I looked at her terrifyingly gloomy face. Uncle gave me a push from behind and said, say hello to Auntie. I immediately obeyed and called out, hello, Auntie. Auntie didn't even acknowledge me, not giving me so much as a glance. I turned to look at Uncle, who sighed helplessly and said, it's all right. Your aunt is just upset right now. She'll be fine once she cools down. Don't let her tough exterior fool you. She's actually very kind-hearted. I nodded, not fully understanding, then mustered the courage to ask Auntie, Auntie, do you prefer kittens or puppies? My aunt finally spared me a glance and said coldly, I don't like any of them. The words I had prepared were instantly stuck in my throat, unable to come out. Originally, I had planned that if my aunt said she liked kittens, I would meow like a cat. If she said she liked puppies, I would bark like a dog. The thoughts of a 5-year-old are quite laughable, but back then I understood nothing and had nothing. I truly didn't know what to do to make my aunt, who seemed to dislike me, let me stay. After my uncle went to work, I was left alone with my aunt, and I became even more afraid. I was afraid my aunt would take advantage of my uncle's absence to kick me out. While my aunt was cooking, I proactively offered to help with the vegetables, but she impatiently shooed me out of the kitchen. So I secretly gathered all the dirty clothes from every room and took them to the bathroom to wash. By the time my cousins came home from school, my aunt had already prepared the meal. She told my cousin Jiang Shen to call me for dinner. Jiang Shen found me in the bathroom. he said. Suihua, my mom is calling you for dinner. I smiled obediently and replied, cousin, you go ahead and eat. I'm not hungry. I need to do the laundry. Jiang Shen took a closer look at what I was holding and exclaimed in embarrassment, Mom, how could you even give her that to wash? My aunt rushed in excitedly, but when she saw the boxer shorts in my hand, she hesitated to speak, her expression turning strange. I didn't understand. At home, I used to wash my dad's clothes like this too, and never thought anything was wrong. My aunt ordered me. Stop washing, come eat, I said crisply. Auntie, I'm not hungry, no need for dinner. I saw the clothes were dirty, so I brought them over to wash. I'll finish soon. But my aunt wasn't having any of it. She snatched the clothes from my hands, threw them back into the basin, and ordered sternly, go eat, or I'll have your uncle send you home. Terrified, I hurried out to have dinner, seeing my cousin Jiang Qian at the table. I greeted her politely, hello, cousin. She ignored me in exactly the same way as my aunt, both with dark expressions and drooping eyes. My arrival made Jiang Qian deeply unhappy. She originally had a room to herself, but now she had to squeeze in with me. Her deeply affectionate parents argued all night, even reaching the point of threatening divorce. She particularly detests me, the chief culprit. I awkwardly went to serve the rice, then worried I'd taken too much, so scooped half of it back into the rice cooker. After serving the rice, I picked up 3 small bok choy from the dining table and was about to go eat on the little stool. Mom said girls aren't allowed to eat at the table. My aunt asked me, where are you going? I pointed to the small stool by her feet and said, I'll sit here to eat. Auntie looked at my small bowl, her expression seemingly wrestling with some internal conflict. After a few seconds of silence, she suddenly cursed, damn it, then got up to wash a large bowl. She poured my food into it and added another half bowl of rice. She scooped up 2 large chopstickfuls of vibrant green bok choy, a big chopstickful of golden scrambled eggs, a big chopstickful of bright yellow shredded potatoes. Then she picked out a few soy sauce-colored pork shreds from the potatoes and flung them fiercely into my bowl. Eat, sit here and eat. For a moment, I was flustered and at a loss, declining with, Auntie, it's too much. I thought, I'll try to eat as little as possible. If Auntie spent less and less on me, perhaps she wouldn't dislike me so much. My aunt never had the patience to explain. She would only threaten me, saying, hurry up and eat. If you keep eating so little, get out and go home. I had no choice but to shovel the food into my mouth, but I couldn't stop my nose from stinging as tears plopped into the bowl. I quickly wiped away my tears. Such delicious food shouldn't be spoiled. My aunt was a great cook. She cooks with generous amounts of oil and seasonings. Every ordinary dish, after her preparation, becomes a feast for the eyes, nose, and palate. Jiang Qian slammed her chopsticks down and scolded me. What are you crying for? You get food and a place to stay, and still you cry, as if someone's bullying you. I shook my head vigorously. I'm sorry, cousin, I'm just happy. My parents didn't want me, but luckily uncle and aunt took me in, so I don't have to be a beggar. Jiang Qian fell silent. Her aunt scolded her, hurry up and eat, you're the one who talks too much. During my first week at my aunt's house, a little swallow built a nest on the balcony. My aunt said it was an auspicious sign. Thanks to the little swallow's blessing, Auntie was in a good mood, humming a tune as she stepped on the sewing machine to make me new clothes. She taught me to sing, Little Swallow, dressed in bright colors, comes here every spring. I ask the swallow why it comes. The swallow says, damn it. Mind your own business. I sang along line by line. By the time I learned the song, the clothes were ready. My aunt asked me to try it on. She made me a patchwork coat using leftover black and white fabric from other people's clothes. At first glance, it really did resemble a little swallow. It fit me perfectly when I put it on. My aunt nodded approvingly as she watched. Just like a little swallow, my craftsmanship speaks for itself. Take it off, and I'll sew a pattern on it for you. I lay on the table, watching intently as my aunt magically embroidered a little swallow using only black and white threads. My aunt unfolded it to show me, looking somewhat proud. How is it? I nodded vigorously. It looks exactly like the little swallow on the balcony. My aunt snorted. Of course, with my skills, you won't find a second like me within 10 miles. My aunt is a highly skilled tailor, and people from the neighborhood often come to her for clothing repairs. She can earn 20 to 30 yuan a day, and at most, even 40 or 50. My aunt says that as long as she can support herself, She stands tall and doesn't need to cater to others. She believes the most important thing in life is being able to support oneself. The days of holding out my palm for help were the hardest. The next day, my aunt told me it was time for me to start elementary school. I was terrified. I knew going to school cost money, so I quickly waved my hands in refusal. Saying I didn't need to go to school and could just work at home, my aunt threatened me, saying that children who don't go to school will end up as beggars. She also said that I should go to school to gain knowledge and skills, and repay her the money when I grow up. I promised her that when I grew up, I would earn lots and lots of money, buy her plenty of spare ribs to eat, and many, many new clothes to wear. My aunt was taken aback. She hadn't expected that her complaints at the dinner table, about how the family had no money, how she hadn't bought new clothes in 2 years, or eaten spare ribs, had been overheard by me. My aunt snorted and said, "You've never even been to kindergarten. It'd be a miracle if you didn't come back with a big fat 0 on your test." Hearing this, I exclaimed, "Roast duck eggs. The school lets you roast duck eggs. Next time, I'll roast some and share them with everyone." My aunt couldn't help but laugh and lightly tapped my mouth, saying, "Pa, pa, pa, may the Bodhisattva not hear. Children's words carry no harm." This was the first time I saw her smile, so I smiled along with her. My aunt pinched my cheek. "You really bloom with just a little sunshine, Lutsuehua. Your name is too old-fashioned, wasting such a good surname. Tomorrow, have your uncle take you to register for a name change." She asked me, "What do you want to be called?" I shook my head. I didn't know what name would be good. My aunt said, "Let's call her Lucan, with kin meaning bright sunshine." On my very first day of elementary school, I brought my aunt a big business opportunity. My desk mate was as pretty as someone on TV and came from a wealthy family. She thought my jacket was very unique and asked, "Lucan, where did you get your clothes? I want to ask my mom to buy me the same." I said this was made by my aunt, who's both clever and capable. Her cooking is absolutely delicious, and the clothes she makes are absolutely beautiful. After school, I walked home with my desk mate. She tugged at her mom to show her my little swallow pattern coat, saying she wanted my aunt to make her clothes too. I spun around in front of her mom, who then asked me to go home and check with my aunt. Could she make 3 such coats at 20 yuan each? If she can do it, she'll bring the fabric to me tomorrow. I asked in surprise. 3 pieces. My desk mate's mother explained that my desk mate is the youngest of triplets. Whatever she has, the other 2 must have as well, otherwise they'll fight. She said, "Make 3 pieces first. If they turn out well, we'll order more from your aunt in the future." I went home and asked my aunt, who looked at me with a curious expression, "How did you talk to her about it?" I replied, "I just said you're the most skilled tailor in the whole area, and the clothes you make are absolutely beautiful." My aunt laughed and said, "You little rascal, you're quite the salesperson." My aunt agreed to make the coats and, as requested by my desk mate's mother, made 3 patchwork-style coats like mine. One was pink with floral prints, one was yellow with floral prints, and one was green with floral prints. Each had the specified pattern embroidered on the chest. I handed the clothes to my desk mate. She was absolutely delighted, touching the little duck pattern on her chest and grinning foolishly all day. Her mother gave me 60 and asked me to pass it on to my aunt. On the way home, I kept my hand in my pocket clutching the money the whole time, terrified of losing it. I would have been condemned for eternity. When my aunt took the 3 20 yuan bills I brought back, she smoothed them out one by one, held them up to the light, and couldn't stop smiling. "Lucan, oh Lucan, you're truly a lucky little swallow, actually able to help me earn money." She took 5 coins from her sewing basket and gave them to me, saying it was pocket money for me to spend as I pleased. I didn't dare accept it, but my aunt said, "If I give it to you, you take it." I lowered my head and said awkwardly, "My mom said I shouldn't take things from others casually." My aunt snorted coldly, "If I give it to you, there's a reason. Do you know why children need pocket money?" I looked up and asked her why. "Because money is something you can never escape in life. I'm giving you pocket money not for you to waste, but to teach you how to be the master of money from a young age. Only by mastering money can you earn more. Those who lack money easily become slaves to it, thinking money is more important than dignity." I listened with partial understanding. Auntie said, "From now on, I'll give you $1 a week as pocket money. This isn't free, it's a reward for washing your own bowl after every meal. Make your bed and tidy up your room every morning when you wake up. Understand?" I nodded and said, "Thank you, Auntie, I understand." As we were talking, Jiang Shen and Jiang Qian also came home, At the dinner table, Auntie told Uncle that I had helped her earn 60 yuan. She said cheerfully, "The ancients always said that when swallows choose a home, good fortune follows." It's true indeed. Uncle chimed in with a smile. Ken is also a little swallow who's come to live with us." Jiang Qian coldly set down his bowl and returned to his room without a word. Though I was still young, I had already learned to read people's expressions well. Jiang Qian was unhappy, so I didn't dare to be happy either. After dinner, I sneaked out of the house and then quietly slipped back into the room, pulling out a large pudding popsicle, her favorite, from my bag and handing it to Jiang Qian, who was doing her homework. Auntie didn't allow us to eat snacks, but I always ran into Jiang Qian on her way home after eating snacks outside. She glanced at the popsicle and asked me, "Where did you get the money?" I said, "Auntie gave me some pocket money as a reward." Jiang Qian sneered and said, "I won't eat anything you bought." I handed it to her again and said, "If you don't eat it, it'll melt. That would be wasting Auntie's money." She and Auntie share the same straightforward personality. Upon hearing my words, she took the ice cream, tore open the wrapper, and with her small cherry-like mouth, managed to cover most of the ice cream, immediately solving the crisis of it melting. I was left dumbfounded. Jiang Qian said, "Don't think that just because I ate your ice cream, I don't dislike you anymore." I nodded and replied, "Cousin dislikes me, but I don't dislike cousin." Jiang Qian asked why. I said, "You let me stay in your room and told me stories from books." Jiang Qian loved reading novels. Whenever she came across parts that made her indignant, she would recount the plot to me so we could both criticize the characters in the book. Jiang Qian asked, "Then, is there anyone you dislike?" I stopped talking. Jiang Qian asked again, "Do you dislike Jiang Shen?" I shook my head. Jiang Qian gave me a disdainful glance and said, "Pfft, Jiang Shen is so despicable, yet you don't dislike him. Your taste isn't great either." Jiang Qian asked again, "Do you dislike your parents?" I lowered my head and stayed silent. Jiang Qian said, "It's not shameful to dislike your parents. My mom said that when adults decide to have a child, they should raise them properly. Your parents dumped you on my family. They're heartless adults who deserve to be disliked." I looked up at Jiang Qian, and at that moment, she seemed to shine brilliantly in my eyes. Jiang Qian grew a little embarrassed under my sparkling gaze. She handed me the last bite of her ice cream and said, "Here, try it." I stuffed that fishball-like ice cream into my mouth, its sweet flavor melting on my tongue. Auntie's voice suddenly rang out from outside. "What are you two up to? Get out of here." Jiang Qian and I ran out to look. Auntie was carrying a ladder and told us both to hold it steady. She said, "A pair of sparrows just took over our little swallow's nest. Our swallow couldn't fight them off, and one of its eggs got knocked out. There was indeed a broken egg on the ground." Jiang Qian exclaimed in shock, "Poor little swallow. I never thought sparrows could be so cruel," and climbed up the ladder and pulled out all the grass the sparrows had stuffed into the swallow's nest, throwing it away. A pair of sparrows chirped noisily in the distance, as if cursing at Ant. Not to be outdone, Ant shouted back, "If you want a nest, build your own. Don't steal our little swallow's home. If you dare come back, I'll beat you to death." The sparrows never came back to occupy the nest, but the next day, when my aunt went out to buy groceries, a bird dropping landed right on her head. My aunt said the sparrows held grudges too well, impossible to catch, yet they made her carry an umbrella every time she stepped outside. But when it came to the little swallows, my aunt was delighted. With the sparrows gone, the swallows continued to live in our home. I couldn't help but envy that nest of little swallows. Everyone welcomes them to live in the house, and Auntie even helps chase away the sparrows that try to take over their nests. This is Uncle and Auntie's home, it's my cousin's home, and it's also the little swallow's home. But it's not mine. Jiang Shen and I were punished by Auntie to kneel on the washboard. Every day after dinner, Auntie goes to Aunt Wang's house to chat. As soon as she left, Jiang Shen turned on the TV to watch the children's channel and told me to keep watch by the door. I sat alone at the doorstep, peeking out with half my face, glancing around like a thief. The moment Aunt appeared at the street corner, I would turn and dash back inside. Seeing me, Jiang Shen would know Aunt was back, frantically turn off the TV, and rush back to his room to do homework. After several days in a row, my aunt became more cautious. As I was keeping watch at the door as usual, I suddenly heard a loud bang from the yard behind me and was startled. Running inside to check, I saw my aunt crouching by the courtyard wall. With a murderous aura, she stormed into the living room and caught Jiang Shen watching TV. I later found out that my aunt had climbed over the wall from the neighbor's house. Jiang Shen was howling from the beating. I said no TV on weeknights. Did you think I was joking? No wonder you've been doing homework until 10 every night lately. You've been watching TV all along. You even corrupted Xiaoyan, making her keep watch for you. Just wait till I beat you to death today. After who knows how long of beating, Auntie got tired and made us kneel on the washboard. Jiang Shen muttered. Xiaoyan didn't even see anything. Why does she have to kneel too? Auntie glared at me, poked my forehead hard with her finger, and said, you helped your brother do bad things. So I'm punishing both of you together. Do you accept that or not? I hung my head in frustration. I give up. Will you ever help your brother do bad things again in the future? I shook my head. I won't dare. Auntie said, Xiaoyan, listen to me. Helping someone do bad things is harming them, not helping them. If you really want to help your brother, you should tell me when he secretly watches TV. My aunt kicked Jiang Shen again. If you really don't want to drag others into trouble, then don't ask them to help you do bad things. After kneeling for a while, the pain made tears well up in my eyes. My aunt sat nearby with her back to us, working the sewing machine. Jiang Qian tiptoed over and tossed me a pair of pink fluffy gloves, mouthing silently for me to cushion them under my knees. Jiang Shen also mouthed to Jiang Qian, what about me? What about me? Jiang Qian rolled her eyes and turned back to her room. From then on, Jiang Shen still occasionally sneaked to watch TV. But he never asked me to keep watch for him again. He bribed Aunt Wang's son, Wang Fugue, to tip him off. As soon as Aunt left, Wang Fugue called to inform Jiang Shen. By the end of the month, the household phone bill had doubled. When Aunt checked it, she was both angry and amused. Another round of mixed doubles ensued. I didn't see it at the time. It was Jiang Qian who told me about it during our evening chat. After I entered second grade, I always came home very late from school. When my aunt asked me the reason, I didn't dare to tell her. When I was once again helping upperclassmen copy homework at school, Jiang Shen and Jiang Qian found me. I stared blankly at the two panting figures. Jiang Qian stepped forward first and asked, what are you doing here? Why aren't you going home yet? I muttered softly, cousin. Jiang Qian glanced at me, then at the four older students beside me playing with grass fights and cat's cradle, as if suddenly understanding something. She snatched the homework book and answer sheet from my hand, saw the words, 5th grade, on them, and let out a cold laugh. With a flick of her hand, she threw the homework book into the group of rowdy girls, then picked up the answer sheet and tore it into pieces in a few swift motions. The four girls all stood up, closing in on Jiang Qian while hurling vulgar insults. Jiang Shen grabbed the collars of two of the girls and demanded, are you blind? How dare you bully my sister? Wang Fugue also brandished an umbrella, pointing its sharp tip at one of the girls with slanted bangs. Seeing the three of them looking tough, the four senior girls quickly grabbed their school bags and ran off. Jiang Qian asked, you come home so late every day just to help them copy homework. I felt both wronged and ashamed, tears flooding out uncontrollably. Jiang Shen patted my head, you silly. Why didn't you tell us when you were being bullied? For a moment, I could only wipe my tears. Not knowing what to say, on the way home, to cheer me up, Jiang Qian and Jiang Shen each chipped in 1 yuan, while Wang Fugue contributed 50 cents. The three of them pooled their money to buy me a paper cupcake with an oil paper umbrella design. The three of them sat by the roadside watching me eat, comforting me together. Jiang Qian said, if you eat the cake, you're not allowed to cry anymore. I haven't even had a bite of it. Jiang Shen said, from now on, if anyone dares to bully you, just tell them my name and say you're my little sister. Wang Fugue said, don't be afraid of them. I know those people. They're all useless and only dare to pick on first or second graders. Jiang Shen shot him a sidelong glance. Aren't you a primary school student too? Wang Fugue scoffed. I'm already in 6th grade, halfway into middle school, and besides, I have an older brother in 9th grade. Jiang Qian opened that mini oil paper umbrella and stuck it into the bun my aunt had tied for me. She said, see, when it rains, you can stick it on top so your little bun won't get wet. The three of them giggled, and I laughed along too. Jiang Shen let out a sigh of relief and reached out to pinch the flesh of my cheek. Finally, you've stopped crying. After finishing the cake, we stood up and brushed the dust off our bottoms. I followed Jiang Shen and Jiang Qian home, step by step. That little oil paper umbrella eventually broke, but I've kept it all this time. It opened up throughout my adolescence, shielding me from so much fear and loneliness. When I was about to enter 6th grade, my mother brought my younger brother to my uncle and aunt's house. Every spring festival, I would see him. The first time I saw him, I hated him. Because of him, my parents abandoned me. After seeing him, I thought again. He's so tiny and knows nothing. It was my parents who abandoned me. It has nothing to do with him. He was fair-skinned, tender, and spoke in a milky voice, somewhat resembling me when I was little. He loved tagging along behind older kids, begging his big brothers and sisters to play with him. Later, with each meeting, the dislike diminished a little more, so while my uncle and aunt were chatting with my mom, I took out the pocket money I'd saved for a long time and secretly took my little brother to KFC. I thought since my brother lived in the countryside, he must have never tasted anything so delicious. After all, I'd only had it twice myself, on birthdays. I never expected that when we went to KFC, my little brother confidently ordered, "I want fries, a chicken leg burger, an egg tart, a sundae, and a Coke." He rattled off a whole list in one breath, leaving me so stunned I forgot to stop him. I asked, "Have you been to KFC before?" My brother nodded excitedly and told me Mom often brings him here. He knows what's good, but Mom only lets him order 2 items at a time. At that moment, I truly understood what heartbreak meant. Just like it said in my Chinese textbook, after eating KFC, I was walking home holding my little brother's hand when Mom saw us, rushed over, and slapped me across the face. She immediately started yelling at me, "Where did you take your brother? Were you trying to abandon him outside? Don't think for a second that getting rid of him will let you come home." No way. Uncle and Jiang Shen were following behind my mom. When they saw what she did, they quickly stepped forward to shield me. My little brother was stunned. It took him a moment to react before he said, "Mom, big sister just took me to eat KFC." My mother froze for a moment, her mouth opening slightly as she reached out to touch my face. Jiang Shen glared at my mother, preventing her from touching me. Her hand could only hang awkwardly in midair before she withdrew it. My uncle was both angry and helpless. "Sis, I really don't know what to say to you." Back at my uncle's house, Jiang Shen went to the fridge to find an ice pack for me to put on my face. My aunt and Jiang Qian soon returned as well, looking at my mother with strange expressions. My mother felt embarrassed under their gaze and invited them to eat. At the dinner table, my mother suggested that I should go back to the countryside to study, while my younger brother would come to live with my uncle's family and attend school in the city. Jiang Qian slammed the table and stood up. "I disagree." Her aunt pressed her down. "Calm down." My mother looked pleadingly at my uncle, who helplessly turned his gaze to his wife. The aunt threw her chopsticks down and also slammed the table as she stood up. "Do you think our home is a garbage dump? You can just dump the kid here whenever you feel like it and take her back whenever you please." My uncle helplessly advised, "You should calm down too." My mother pleaded with Jiang Shen and Jiang Qian again. "Kang Kang is also your brother. You'll surely like him." Jiang Shen responded coldly, "We only recognize Xiaoyan as our sister," with no one left to turn to. My mother pulled me over, pressed my shoulders to make me kneel, muttering, "Suehua, he's your own brother. Beg your uncle and aunt to bring your brother to the city." Jiang Qian rolled her eyes. "Xiaoyan is my brother's sister, not some Kang Kang's sister." The little brother burst into tears with a wah, clinging to my mom's leg, crying and begging not to stay at his uncle's house. My mom muttered to herself, "Your little brother is so pitiful. The teachers in the countryside don't teach well, and he can't get a good education there at all. You've had your fill of the good life in the city all these years. It's enough, come back. A dog doesn't despise its home for being poor, and I am your real mother after all." I broke free from my mom's grip and said, "I don't want to." My mom's eyes trembled. She suddenly became eerily sinister, as if transforming from a living person into a slow-reacting zombie, and asked me word by word, "What did you say?" I said I don't want to. Before my mom's slap could land, Jiang Shen swiftly pulled me away. My aunt picked up the local specialties my mother had brought and threw them out one by one. Lucan has long been registered on our family's household register, and the adoption procedures were completed. You agreed to it back then. How dare you hit my child in my own home? Get out of here. I raised Lucan because he's a good kid, and it has absolutely nothing to do with you. You think you can just replace him, even if Lucan agrees. I won't. Jiang Qian also followed her aunt like a puppy, throwing out the local specialties my mom brought, as well as my brother's change of clothes and daily necessities, one bag after another. As the two of them threw things out, my uncle kept picking them up one by one and bringing them back in. My aunt noticed and scolded my uncle. You dare pick that up again and see what happens, Jiang Shen, afraid my mom might take me away. Called Wang Fugue and said he wanted to send me over to hide for a while. In no time, chaos erupted at my uncle's house. Despite being swamped, my aunt still found a moment to give Jiang Shen and me 2 yuan each, telling us to buy ice cream at Aunt Wang's little shop. She said they'd call me back once they'd dealt with my mom and reminded me not to wander off. Just stay at Aunt Wang's and watch TV. I was just eating popsicles with Jiang Shen at Aunt Wang's little grocery store when my aunt called to tell us to come home. My mom had already left. My aunt was watching TV while making dumplings. Seeing me enter timidly, she called me over and asked, "Do you miss home? I mean your parents' home?" Tears instantly streamed down my face as I shook my head and said, "No, I don't." My aunt sighed, went to the kitchen to wash her hands, then came back to wipe my tears. Xiao Yan, I know you don't want to go back. I just want to tell you that from now on, your uncle and aunt's home is your home. Whatever your mom says to you, just ignore her. My aunt saw that I was listening attentively and continued, your brother and sister, one's a mischievous monkey, the other's as stubborn as a mule. Even though they give me more headaches, I still hope you'll learn a thing or two from them. Being too well-behaved isn't good. It makes you an easy target for bullies. I nodded silently. My aunt wiped away my falling tears with the back of her hand and said, "Look at you. Since you were little, you've never dared to cry out loud. Sometimes, parents are the ones who bully their children the most, and your mother is like that. I know you're a precocious child who can tell right from wrong, so I'm telling you this, no matter what happens, never go soft on your parents." My uncle couldn't listen anymore and interjected, "How can you teach a child like that?" My aunt scolded him again, "Am I wrong? Do you want Xiaoyan to go back to the countryside and rot there for the rest of her life? Have you no conscience?" My uncle weakly retorted, "I didn't say that." My aunt rolled her eyes and asked me, "In your heart, what do you think is most important?" I thought for a moment and said, "Study hard, and when I grow up, I'll repay my uncle and aunt." My aunt shook her head and said, "Everyone should feel that their own life is the most important. You study hard to have a better future. Once that condition is met, then you can think about repaying me and your uncle. How others treat you is how you should treat them. If they ever make demands of you in the future, just think about it in reverse. Would they agree if you made the same demands of them?" After saying this, my aunt immediately tested me. "If your mother secretly comes to your school in the future and asks you to go back to the countryside with her so your younger brother can study in the city, what should you do?" I tentatively answered, "Refuse her." My aunt nodded approvingly, "Smart. If your mom ever tells you that since she gave birth to you, all the money you earn in the future should go to her, what should you do?" I replied solemnly, "Refuse her." After repeating the emphatic, "Refuse her," over a dozen times, my aunt was satisfied, while my uncle let out a sigh. Since being driven away by my aunt, my mother hadn't visited my uncle's house for several years. At first, my uncle would still urge me to go home for the new year, but after being scolded by my aunt a few times, he stopped persuading me. The days flowed by slowly. From the occasional remarks of my uncle and aunt, I heard that my younger brother was being spoiled beyond reason. He started failing exams in elementary school, not doing homework, and getting our parents called in every day. As soon as he entered middle school, he began getting into fights with a group of troublemakers. My mom had to pick him up from the police station several times. She always thought it was because the rural teachers couldn't teach him properly. And sure enough, she came to the school to see me again. She waits for me at the school gate after class, and as soon as I come out, she starts peeling the boiled egg in her hand. I don't like boiled eggs. She peels the egg and hands it to me, but I refuse and buy a scallion pancake from the stall outside the school instead. After starting high school, my allowance increased to 10 yuan a week, so I occasionally buy a 1 yuan scallion pancake to eat. Today, I suddenly felt like adding a sausage, so I paid 2 yuan. My mother's eyes turned sharp as she asked me where I got the money. "Did you steal it?" I said it was pocket money from my aunt. My mother couldn't help but sneer at her. "She sure has money, being so generous even to you, Xiaoyan. If I were as rich as her, I wouldn't have abandoned you either. You're flesh of my flesh." She has now also learned to call me by the nickname Auntie gave me, as if by calling me that, she could treat me as kindly as Auntie does. I couldn't be bothered with her, so I took the steaming egg pancake and blew on it. My mother swallowed hard and began to complain to me. "My brother doesn't do his homework because he can't." "Why can't he?" "Because the teacher can't teach. The teacher only knows how to call our parents all day." asking them to discipline my brother. If they knew how to discipline him, what would we need teachers for? The educational resources in rural areas are too poor. Unlike me who enjoyed the best conditions, the family was too poor. Unlike me, who lived at my uncle's house with good food and clothes, I had my older cousins to protect me. Unlike my younger brother, who was bullied alone at school and ended up fighting with others. As for why it was my younger brother who unilaterally beat others, it takes two to tango. If my brother hit someone, it must be because that person provoked him first. Starting from the 5 dynasties and 10 kingdoms period and leading all the way to the Qing army's invasion, my mom finally revealed her true intentions. Since my aunt is so kind to me, I'll be responsible for pleading with her. And she can take care of convincing my uncle. They'll definitely agree to let me switch places with my brother so he can study in the city. Munching on an egg pancake as I walked, I mumbled, "What does that have to do with me?" My mom said, "Your brother has suffered too much. You're his older sister. Have some compassion for him." I replied, "Whoever created the problem should solve it." My mom scolded me. "How have you become so selfish? You're exactly like your aunt now, cut from the same cloth." I asked excitedly. "Really?" My mom, seeing how pleased I was by the praise, changed the subject. "Xiaoyan, you were born from my own womb after 10 months of pregnancy. Don't think that just because your aunt raised you for a few years, she'd treat you like her own child. She has her own son and daughter. Raising you is like keeping a little cat or dog. It doesn't cost much anyway." As we spoke, I was almost home. I waved at my mom and said, "Go back, I'm not swapping with my brother. Auntie likes me just fine." My mom was so angry she could only glare, but she didn't dare follow me into my aunt's house. The few times she'd come before, my aunt had chased her out with a broom, shouting, "Child snatcher." I'm the only child at home now. Jiang Shen is in Guangcheng starting a business with a few college classmates, while Jiang Qian is doing graduate studies in the capital. I'm in my final year of high school. And my uncle and aunt are now focusing all their energy on me. Although the academic pressure in senior year is intense, I've experienced unprecedented happiness. I washed my hands and sat down to eat, chatting with my aunt. My mom came to see me again just now. My aunt wore an expression of familiarity. "Oh, same old routine from her." I nodded. Still a whole lot of complaints. How tough things are for them. And in the end, she asked me to switch with my brother. My uncle asked, "So what did you say?" My aunt placed the steamed sea bass and braised pork right in front of me, then grabbed an empty plate to peel the shrimp shells and put the meat on the plate for me to eat. "Thanks, Auntie, love you," I said with a grin, then added, "I told her, whoever created the problem should be the one to solve it." My aunt clapped her hands and laughed, giving me a thumbs up. "Well said, as expected of our family's top student, honestly. She should toughen up and discipline her son properly. After finishing these few years of school, he could join the military. There's still a bright future ahead after that. She just insists that her son's lack of success is because he didn't come to our house to enjoy good food and drink. Xiaoyan studies well because she was sent to our house. What kind of person is this? Luckily, she doesn't come often, after hitting a wall this time. She probably won't bother you for another 6 months or so." Listening to my aunt grumble about my mom and stand up for me, I was in such a good mood that I ate 2 bowls of rice. A month before the college entrance exam, my mom called me in tears, saying my younger brother had blinded one of a classmate's eyes, and they couldn't afford the compensation. She asked me to come home and marry a pre-selected man. Using the bride price as the settlement money, she said she gave birth to and raised me. And if I repaid her this time, we'd be even. I was stunned. "Why should I repay you? If you didn't want to have me, you shouldn't have slept with my dad in the first place." After hanging up the phone, I collapsed into bed and fell asleep. The next day after school, sure enough, I saw my mom waiting for me by the school gate. I paid 2 yuan for an egg pancake with sausage and chicken strips. My mom only comes once or twice a year. Every time she visits, I buy myself a 3 yuan egg pancake as comfort. My mom was frantic, angry, and resentful. "How can you still have the mood to eat an egg pancake? How can you be so cold-hearted? Why don't you feel any pity for your brother?" Watching the vendor skillfully spread the batter, crack the egg, and slice the ham, I replied casually, "Why should I be frantic? It's not like I was the one who told him to blind someone." My mother's hands clamped down on me like iron pincers. "You must come back with me today, or your brother is finished, and our family is ruined. I gave birth to you, so you must repay me. After this, we'll be even, not far away." my father and several burly men rushed out of a van, ready to take me away together. I couldn't break free, and for a moment, my blood ran cold. I don't want to go back with my mom. I don't want to be sold off by her to marry some stranger and have kids. I grabbed the egg pancake vendor's stall and screamed for help. The egg pancake vendor wasn't the type to abandon a friend in need, and immediately shouted, "What are you doing? What are you doing? Stealing my customer. I'll call the police." My dad spat out the cigarette butt from his mouth and glared at the vendor. "This is my daughter. I'm taking my daughter home." "What's it to you?" I begged the boss. "Boss, please help me call the police. I'm the child of the Sue Taylor's family. They want to capture me and sell me for money. I'm in my final year of high school, about to take the college entrance exam. I don't want them to ruin my entire life. Let the child go." The boss stood in front of my father, and the security guard at the school gate also came over to understand the situation, no matter how much my mother pleaded. The boss insisted on not letting me go and told her to explain it to the police. When my uncle and aunt came to the police station to take me home, I threw myself into my aunt's arms and burst into tears. My aunt stroked my back and comforted me, saying, it's okay. From now on, your uncle and I will pick you up and drop you off every day." We had never imagined before that my parents would go to such extremes. My younger brother, unable to pay the compensation, was also sent to a juvenile detention center. Later, my uncle and aunt indeed started working from dawn to dusk to pick me up and drop me off. They treated me with even more care than they had when Jiang Shen and Jiang Qian took their college entrance exams. The most fragrant fruits grow from the soil of love. On the day the college entrance exam results came out, my aunt set off 10,000 firecrackers at home. The top scorer scholarship for the college entrance exam that year was 20,000 yuan. At my strong insistence, I replaced my aunt's sewing machine with a Butterfly brand one. I also replaced my uncle's bicycle with a new Sunra electric scooter. Jiang Shen and Jiang Qian called to congratulate me. "Wow, I never thought you'd be the first among us to make big money. Where's our gift?" "Xiao Yan, you know what I like best, right? I've already bought the train ticket home." I replied with a smile, "I've already bought it. I'll hide it later, and if you can't find it, you won't get it." The laughter and scolding on the other end of the phone were completely drowned out by the deafening sound of firecrackers. From now on, my path ahead is bright and brilliant. After hearing the two stories above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Looking forward to hearing from you. If you liked this story, don't forget to like it, share it, and subscribe to my channel. See you next time.